Hi my loves, so today I'm going to be doing a very bold lip tutorial, something a little bit different for me on my channel. I know it doesn't match my shirt, I explained that in the end of this video, but don't mind that. It actually matches the eyes more than it matches the lip, but whatever, it's fine, we'll get through it. Anyway, before I get into the tutorial, I want to do a quick explanation. I will try to keep this as short as possible. If you did not notice, I have a new background, nothing fancy because I'm not one of those YouTubers who does the whole background thing, but I do have a new background, which means I did move already, so that is why I did not post a video for the past, I think it was 2 weeks. I did have stuff pre-filmed, but when I went to edit them, I just wasn't happy with them, so I ended up scrapping them and deciding that I would wait until I had more free time to film new videos for you guys. And because of the fact that I moved, and on top of the fact that I do work an opening shift at my job, my schedules can range anywhere from about 3:30 in the morning to 11 a.m. or like today, 3:30 in the morning and getting home at 2 p.m. So it's a little bit hard for me to do that, as well as get everything done, like take care of my pets, like my bunny, and then I'm also taking care of my aunt's dogs right now while she is out of town, and then just getting stuff done around that I want to get done, things that I need to get done. I have school coming up soon in about a month and a half, I think it is. So I need to do a lot of stuff, and I'm just trying to do my best with the time that I have. So I did have a little bit of a hiatus for 2 weeks. I didn't forget, that's why I wanted to do this explanation. I just don't want you to think that I just left and didn't post a video. I did think about it, but I wanted to make sure that I got things done like work and unpacking first, because those, in my opinion, at least for me, are just a little bit more important because of the fact that YouTube is not my job. I do have to focus on those a little bit more, but I love doing YouTube and I am so happy to be back. So if you want to see this look so I can stop talking and just shut up and get on into it, just keep on watching if you'd like to see. Alrighty, so I want to go ahead and just do the lips first because I already cleaned up my lip line, and it'll just be easier for me to do it right after I clean up my lip line and right after I had some moisturizer on them. So what I'm going to be using today is actually the ColourPop Dr. M Ultra Matte Lip. And this is actually the second shade that I was deciding if I wanted to wear. I do have the Wicked shade by Too Faced. This is one of their melted lipsticks as well. And this one is more of a brighter green, and it also is more of a matte shade versus this, which has a bit of shimmer. But because the eyes are very neutral and because they're actually not as dark as I could have went, I actually do want to deepen up this look by going with a deeper green. So I'm going to be using the ColourPop one. And I'm just gonna go ahead and apply this like I would any other liquid lip. I just want to let you guys know that this shade in particular from ColourPop does have a tendency to crumble, so sometimes I do have to go in with a little bit of like Vaseline or Aquaphor and just apply that on top to basically re-moisten the lipstick, and that kind of helps the cracking and the crumbling. If you do apply a good moisturizer underneath before you go on with the lipstick, it does help, but sometimes, you know, as it dries down and as moisture kind of leaves your lips throughout the day, you'll notice that it does crumble a bit. So that's just something to forewarn you guys about. I did notice some cracking with the Too Faced one, but not nearly as bad as the ColourPop. So that's just something I wanted to get out to you guys, just so you know when you're picking out a lipstick, especially if you're picking out a color like this, you don't want it to be crumbling or cracking everywhere. So now that I have all of that, and I'm super loving this lip, I'm gonna move on to the eyes. And because the lips are really the focal point, I want the eyes to kind of add drama so that it's not just a bold lip and nothing on the eyes, but I want it to be a little bit more subdued so that it doesn't take away from the boldness of the lip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prime my eyes, and today I'm going to use the ColourPop No Filter Concealer, and I'm using this in the shade 04. If you saw, I think I mentioned this, I'm not sure if I mentioned this in my ColourPop video. Actually, I think that one's going up after this video, but anyway, 04 is too light for me to use underneath my eyes. I can probably use it if I use like darker powders or something, or if I mix it in with other concealers, but it's way too light for me under my eye, so I kind of think I'm going to use it as an eyeshadow primer. So for today's look, I actually am trying to use the Too Faced Natural Matte Palette. Now this is one that you cannot get anymore, but they do have a new version of it. So it's kind of like a more revamped version. I don't know if it's different as far as how the shades compare, but they do have a natural palette still. So you can probably pull colors from that or just colors from your own collection, because obviously these aren't anything revolutionary. So you can probably dupe these in your own collection. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this brush from Urban Decay. This is from one of their Vice palettes, and I'm gonna take Risque first, which is this shade right here, and it's just a cool tone brown. And I'm trying this technique that people have been doing lately, which is to use a darker color first instead of a transition, and then go in and buff it out with your lighter colors. And I think it's gonna be better for my eye shape, or not my eye shape, my eye type, because I have very dry lids and I have very dry skin, like you probably know if you've watched my videos before. And I find that when I use a transition shade and then I go in with darker colors, sometimes the dark colors don't stick to my eyelids that well because I already have a base of powder. So I do think that this method will work for me. It's just a matter of practicing and trying to get the blends to go seamlessly, because I do find that blending is a little bit harder with this method, but the pigmentation is a lot more intense with this method than it is when I do transition then darker shade. So because I did a shader brush, or used the shader brush to apply that darker color, I want to blend out the edge with a brush that has no product on it. I found that when I went in with my transition on a fluffy brush and then just tried to blend out the harsh edge that way, it actually just adhered to the concealer where there was no powder and then left a harsh line. So I'm hoping buffing it out a bit first will help me prevent that from happening. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And before I go in with my transition, I do wanna add a bit of a deeper shade, and this one is slightly warmer. It's called Sexpresso. And it's just a very deep, kind of chocolatey brown. And I'm going to apply this on top. The issue that I had with the first color that I applied, and I obviously wanted to keep the same color scheme as the other eye, which is why I still used it, is that because it's such a cool brown, it almost, in my opinion, deepens too much in some areas, so that it kind of creates this weird line. So I'm using this dark color that's a little bit warmer than the first one, although still a fairly cool brown, to kind of create a easier blend. Now that I have that, I can go in, and I'm using the Morphe M330, and this is kind of similar to the MAC 224 brush, but I actually like this one better than my 224. Surprisingly, I love the 224 brush, but I don't know if it's just my brush that I got from MAC, but it's a little bit scratchy for me. This one's not as scratchy, so it definitely is a little bit of a better option. So I would recommend picking this up, and it's cheaper, so if it ended up being scratchy, it wouldn't have been the end of the world. As you can see, our crease shades are coming together. So now I want to go ahead and apply some colors to the perimeter. You can already see that the first shades that I applied are blending out to almost create a transition. So I'm just going to intensify that. And I used a mix of these two shades right here, which is Cashmere Bunny and Strapless. So this is Cashmere Bunny, this is Strapless. And I just go in with Cashmere Bunny first. I didn't mix them for some reason, so I'm not going to do that on this eye, just cause, why not? And I just applied it on the edge, and then took a bit of Strapless because it's a little bit warmer, and I did want to add a tiny bit of warmth to this look because I didn't want it to make me look dead. Sometimes, because I have a lot of warmth in my skin, if I go in with too cool of undertone shades, it can make me look very sickly. So I like to add a tiny bit of warmth when possible, even when I'm doing a cool toned eye. So I'm just going to buff that out. I will wipe off my brush because I don't want to have too much product on it, and I'm just going to buff around the edges. I'm not going to be using a highlight today. The only highlight I have down is from my concealer that I use to clean up my brow. On the lower lash line, before I finish up the top, I'm gonna go ahead and take a brown eyeliner. Let me just wipe away the fallout real quick. And I always use like a dual fiber or a very fluffy brush so it doesn't disrupt the foundation. But what I'm gonna do is I'm going to line my waterline, sorry if this looks kind of scary, with the brown eyeliner. This one's by Ulta. And then I'm just going to go in and line underneath my lash line. And this creates a base for the shadow. Again, I have super dry eyes, so it makes it a little bit more tacky so that when I apply, especially matte shades, it doesn't go patchy or weird. And I'm just buffing that out. I'm using the same brush I just wiped it off that I used to apply the first crease shade. And then I'm picking up more of that risque shade and I'm just going to apply it on top and kind of buff it out. And because this is a thicker shader brush, it kind of buffs it out to the amount that I want right out the... Why do I keep saying right out the bat? Right off the bat rather than me having to go in and buff it out separately. We are actually almost done. I just have to do my lid shade and my inner corner highlight. So what I'm doing now is I'm taking the Day to Night eyeshadow quad by e.l.f. I don't know if they still sell this. I'm not positive. I haven't been on the e.l.f.'s website in a while, but I'm just taking this shade that's right here. Let me just hide the mirror so it doesn't blind you. It's just a taupey shimmery color, and I apply this with my finger. I like applying shimmer to my lids with my finger because I feel like it just packs it on the best. And then it almost smooths out shimmers to make them a little bit more reflective than I think they look when you apply them with a brush. So that's just my personal preference. And I have short nails, so it's easy for me to do it this way. If you have longer nails, you probably can just wet your brush and it'll kind of create the same effect. Then after my lid shade, I want to go ahead and brighten up the inner corners. I have a lot of darkness here and my eyes kind of sink in, so I like to brighten them up as much as possible. So I'm taking the highlight shade from the same quad. And again, I just apply this with my finger. It just applies it the nicest in my opinion and the most like impactful. So now that I have that, I can go ahead and add just a little bit of white to even further brighten up my eye. So actually, I think I put it away. Let me just grab it really quick. I actually used a white liquid liner. I saw this on Nikki Tutorials, one of her videos, and she used a white eyeliner, a liquid liner, on the inner corner just to brighten it up. And I actually like the way it looked, and I almost never use this liquid liner by NYX, which is really sad because I really do like it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take a little bit of this product and just do a line right along the inner tear duct. And it doesn't have to be perfect in my opinion, because I go in with like mascara and things and lashes, and that kind of helps camouflage it so it doesn't look like a super bright white stripe when you're looking at it. It just looks like it brightens it up a little bit more. So this is what I meant. I'm gonna zoom in really quickly for you guys. This is why I actually picked up the Too Faced, because I wanted a green lipstick that didn't do this. So this is what it's kind of doing right now. And oh, I got even more. Hopefully you guys are going to be able to see, but I have a lot of green speckling on my chin now that literally will not go away. Like, it's just stuck there. So what I'm going to do is show you guys how I kind of fixed this issue when I noticed that this lipstick crumbles a lot. And let me just add a tiny bit of powder to hopefully catch any more that goes down. But I'm going to take a bit of Vaseline. You can use probably any type of lip balm or lip oil or maybe even a lip gloss. I haven't tried that yet, but take a tiny bit of it. You don't want it to be too thick, so only do a tiny bit. And you want to just basically rub this all over your lip on top of the liquid lip, and it's gonna pick up some of the color, but what you will notice, hopefully, is it will smooth out the color. This trick will work with any liquid lipstick that crumbles or starts to crack, or if you're just somebody with super dry lips and you don't like the feeling of that super matte liquid lip formula. I don't personally love it. Like, I do wish that this liquid lipstick would work without having to do this, mainly because I wanted that like super like kiss proof, transfer proof, like just that stuck on full on green lip color. And I was a little bit sad because when you do add the Vaseline and you do add that creaminess back to the formula, it actually does take away that transfer resistant like quality that it has. So although it still looks nice and I would still wear this, don't get me wrong, it's something that I feel like now I have to be more mindful of when I wear, especially if I'm wearing this out, because it can start to smear, it can start to move. So that's just something to keep in mind. I think the ColourPop liquid lipstick is a great option because high-end lipsticks do still crack and crumble depending on which brand you're using, what your personal preferences are and how your lips are and how it reacts to your lips. So just bear in mind, it's not that it's a cheap quality or cheap made lipstick. I think it's mostly just because they have that glitter in it, and that may just dry out the formula a little bit too much so that it does crumble a lot more than some of their other colors in their line. I do still like it, and as you can see, it's still a pretty color, but just something to keep in mind. Now I'm gonna move on to the rest of the makeup. I'm just gonna go ahead and do my eyelashes and my mascara off of camera because I am super bad at applying lashes, so I like to get super close to my mirror. But I'm going to be applying these lashes right here. Actually, let me use tweezers. I don't know why I didn't think of that, so I can get my big old fingers out of the frame so you guys can hopefully see the lash a little bit easier. There you go. So that's what I'm going to be applying, and I'm not doing any liner, so I'm just applying that to my upper lid and applying some mascara. Then I'll come back to show you guys how I finished off the face. Now that everything on the eyes and the lips are done, I can go ahead and do my cheeks and my face. So what I'm going to be using today is actually a new product. It's the Blush and Bronzer Palette by Coastal Scents. If you guys don't know, I love Coastal Scents and BH Cosmetics and all these like lower end brand products, and I actually found this at TJ Maxx, which I was super excited about because I have not checked out Coastal Scents or their products in quite a while now. I just haven't heard too much about any of their new releases, so I actually was really excited about this. So I'm going to be playing with this today, and I think I'm going to be using just the matte bronzer on top. Sometimes when I use this before, like the couple other times that I used it, I did mix the matte bronzer with a bit of the shimmery bronzer, but because this look is so bold already, I think I'm gonna stick to something a little bit more subdued. And I'm using an e.l.f. I believe this is their Beautifully Bare. I don't know if there's any other name to it, but it's one of the Beautifully Bare collection brushes. And sorry if you can hear it moving. My ferrule is a little bit loose, but not loose enough for me to be able to pull it off so that I could reattach it a little bit tighter. So I want to just make a note that I did not apply this bronzer to my forehead or underneath my jaw. For my personal face shape and my like forehead and everything, I don't like it too much on my forehead. I always used to do that because I thought that the color just always needed to match, but I realized that if you are somebody who doesn't really find that you like to have contour in certain parts of your face, you don't have to do that. Like some people don't contour their nose. And I also don't contour underneath here, although my chest and my neck tend to be lighter than my face because they don't get as much sun as my face does. It's not a huge drastic difference, but it definitely is something that you would notice if I had like a lower cut shirt. I don't like to bring bronzer down there. I just always find that it gets muddy looking right here throughout the day, so I just prefer to not do that. If I was to contour, I would just contour right under my chin rather than back by my jawline. But I skipped all of that, and now I'm gonna go ahead and do the blush. I'm gonna take this shade right here. I want to go a little bit more like peachy warm tone, although you can go cooler, like something more of like a mauve or a rose tone. I don't think I like it too much with all of the coolness that's going on with the face. I do think that you need to warm it up slightly. You can even mix the two if you like, if you don't want to go for a super warm blush. but I do feel like you do have to have some warmth to your skin if you go very cool, especially if you're like me and you have a lot of warmth to your skin already. This will just help prevent you from looking very like ghostly or dead. So now that all of that is done, I can go on into my highlight. I did just spray the tops of my cheekbones with a bit of water just so that the highlight will actually stick to my face better, because again, I do have super dry skin. So I'm gonna take again the same brush because I'm really just not wanting to wash my brushes. So I'm just using the same brush, and I'm just going to take a highlight shade. Did I even point it out? I'm using this shade right here. And it's not anything super intense, but it definitely will add a nice glow. I actually think it's coming off a little bit brighter in camera than it's looking in person, but it definitely does add a nice glow. And then I'm just going to add a tiny bit of this same highlight to my nose, and I'm just using my finger for that because why not? This brush is a little bit big for the nose, so this will help me get a little bit more of a precise application. And then I'll take a tiny bit of that and apply it to my chin and the top of my forehead. Just because, again, I have dry skin, so this will just help counterbalance that. So that is pretty much it for this look. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I just want to let you guys know, I don't know if I ever really mentioned this, but if you ever wonder why my hair is not super done all fancy, why I don't have like crazy jewelry, or why I'm always just in like a sleepwear t-shirt or like bedtime type outfit, I am not just lazy. That is not why I do that. A lot of the times, unless it's a video that I'm filming as I'm going out the door, I don't really do all of that extra stuff because I don't really do it even when I am going out. Like if you guys have seen a couple of my get ready with me videos, you'll see that my extent of dressing up is like a camisole and cardigan and just like scrunching my hair with either some leave-in conditioner or gel or just like braiding my hair. So it's really nothing crazy for me as far as like my style goes. So I never want to sit here and show you guys a person that is not true to who I am. May not be everybody's cup of tea. Some people might be like, why are you doing full glam but you're so basic in your clothes and your hair and your jewelry? That's just something that I don't do, especially the jewelry. I never change out my jewelry. If you guys don't know, hopefully you guys were able to tell, but I'm a modified person who actually likes to keep it very, very simple. I liked the look of the stainless steel. I never really like to change it. I like the uniform, simple, classic look of it, and I just never changed my jewelry, so that's why that never gets changed. Clothes are just too much of a hassle, and honestly, they make me sad. Flirty people, honestly. Some of you may know, some people have so much confidence and know how to wear clothes that fit their body type. I'm just one of those people. I ain't got the time for it. I ain't got the emotions for it. It's just not my cup of tea. So that is why clothes don't get done. And then hair, I just suck at hair, so we're just not going to talk about it. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was different for me because I am still getting the hang of doing lips, and bright lips especially are a little bit trickier, especially bold colors that aren't like pinks or reds, because they don't really fall into the natural color scheme. You can do a bright bold lip bright bold lip that's like a red or a pink, and I feel like it goes with a lot of different looks, but doing something green or doing something blue or even some of the purples really is a little bit tricky when you're trying to match it to certain eyes and cheek looks. So I actually really like the way that this came out. I hope you guys did too. I hope you learned something new, even if it's just that little trick about the liquid lip, especially if you're somebody who picked up the Dr. M shade by ColourPop and noticed that it crumbles, because I actually didn't hear any of the reviews because I was really bad and didn't look up reviews before I picked it up. But if you pick that up and you notice that it crumbles, hopefully that tip helped you, and hopefully it worked out so that you actually can wear this shade and don't have to just basically leave it in a drawer to be forgotten about because it crumbles so much. So anyways, If you like this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. It lets me know that you guys like this type of video. I like when you do the thumbs up because it tells me what videos you guys would like to see. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the bell because apparently subscribing is now a two-step process. So hit both of those so that you not only are subscribed to my channel, but you get notified of my videos. Then also leave me a comment below. Let me know, do you like this look? Would you wear the green lipstick? And if you would not, what lip color would you pair with this eye look? Hope you guys are having a wonderful day wherever you are, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye everybody!